you don't believe we're at risk. I want you to think about the last 2 days. We saw an earthquake happen in Iran. Now we thought, oh, well, it could be natural, or there could be something else to it. What were they trying to test? It may blow your mind. Also, someone hacks into the water system. What did I tell you about infrastructure? How we think that we have everything right in America, but our infrastructure is lacking. What happens when people attack our grid or attacks our water? What would you do? Do you have enough stockpiled water or access to water if this happened in your neck of the woods? We'll talk about that. Not only that, we just had an avian bird flu summit. Ironically and coincidentally, now we're having human cases of bird flu happen just like that. Somehow it happened right after the summit. Isn't that ironic? Let's talk about some of these stories and so much more today. These are the things that affect you because we are looking for an October surprise or Black Swan event, and I think they're all happening to where all the fuses are being lit to find out which one is going to affect you the most. Sadly, let's dive into these today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. It is an absolute gorgeous day on the farm. I pray for the people that are going through these storms because when we look up and see the blessings that God's given us, I got hay in the barn and it's just a beautiful sunrise over a farm. It's cool outside. We have to be thankful for what God gives us because, to be honest with you, as crazy as this world is, there's nothing better than to know that you can wake up to another day and it's going to be okay. So pray for the ones that's in the storms that's coming, especially Milton, Florida. My gosh, what a big storm. And also the ones in North Carolina and the surrounding areas. Now let's dive in today on some of these stories because when we see these stories, it helps us prepare and be better to raise our families in a wiser way and have a better common sense approach to who we vote for, but also how we kind of maneuver through the next coming days, weeks, and months ahead. Now let's start with the infrastructure situation and how we have seen most presidents not care about our infrastructure as much as they should, especially when it comes to protecting it. We're in a virtual, dangerous world, and this brings up the reason why it's important. It says a cybersecurity incident hits America's largest regulated water and wastewater utility firm. The largest regulated water utility company in the United States revealed that it discovered a breach, cybersecurity breach in their network and their systems. Remember, we're not as much mechanical on these infrastructures as we are virtual and also using technology. Technology is not a bad thing, but like I said, when we rely on it, then we have to protect that infrastructure because that runs our water, that runs our grid, that runs every aspect of our life. It's not mechanical turning hoses on. I have to push a button on a network site to make sure that this water is running. Well, it was hit and stopped the flow of water. Upon learning this activity, the company immediately activated the incident response protocols, the third-party cybersecurity experts to assist in containment and mitigate the problems that have been caused by this cyber hacker. It noted the company has taken every step and will continue to take steps to protect the systems and data, including the disconnecting and deactivating of certain systems. Think about it. I just want to, sometimes we can catch these things, and that's phenomenal. That shows that we're working as hard as we can. But sometimes we can't. Cybersecurity is a major risk, and you know the biggest players in cybersecurity? Russia and China. Who is our biggest adversaries? Because we've made them that. And to be honest with you, we shouldn't have, but we've made them that because of all these wars and all this expansionism that each country is doing. We have done that. We've caused the problem. Now, I'm not blaming America. What I'm saying, though, is if we would learn to take care of Americans first of all, you could build your infrastructure better. Secondly, you could protect your infrastructure. And then if something like this happens, you're ready to go. You're ready to fix it because ultimately we've got our hands dabbling in so many other events across the world that it's only natural that we don't take care and consideration for our own. As I told you before, if I was cutting my neighbor's yard all the time and manicured it because I wanted to look the best because my house was next to it, but then I didn't look at my own house and I didn't clean up around my own house, while I'm cleaning up his mess, my yard is overgrown, it needs to be weeded, and we are allowing it to look like crap. And that's exactly what we've got. We've worried about everybody else's dabbling problems, and then all of a sudden we look back at our own and say, oh crap, our infrastructure has fallen to pieces. Someone's hacked our own grid. Now, if someone hacked the water like they did, and it was impacted to a point where it stopped the flow of water. But not only that, sewage, wastewater. Now think about those two things. If you had no water, but at the same time had no running water to use proper facilities to get rid of sewage, do you know how sick people would be? Do you know how unwell people would be? We would become a third world country in a matter of days. Why? Because we're not prepared for this kind of stuff anymore. That leads me right into another little article that I thought was just absolutely huge. And it doesn't actually go with the fact of what happened with this situation with the water cyber issues. But it says this: America's fastest growing jobs in the U.S. Can you guess them? What is the fastest growing industries in the U.S.? And I think this is very dangerous. The number one growing job by over over 3 times the next one is home health and personal care, and needing people to watch over us medically. So our medical field is expansion. Now, why is it expanding so much? Well, let's go back to the next two. The next one is software development. We're needing more people to run all the networking and digitized forms of living that we've done. We want the easy button, but then we have to have people to run it. Okay, well that doesn't have anything to do with the first one. I mean, medically being cared for. I mean, what does that have to do? The third one, let's go to it. It's restaurant and fast food. What I'm trying to show you is this. When we build a life of convenience and comfortability, then we get used to what we have. While we're dabbling across the world, what we're actually doing is taking our focus off here. So our water was affected, but guess what? So is every aspect of our life, because the best jobs that are growing right now is the fact that people do not want to feed themselves. They want convenience of someone else feeding them, and they're going to pay overpriced money for fast food that's trash food. Then ultimately what happens is, again, we look for conveniences. We want all this digitized forms of living and technology because we want the easy button. We don't want to mechanically work hard doing anything. We want to push a button and it works. And on top of that, because of our laziness and because we're not choosing to cook and eat healthy and grow our own food, we're wanting to eat this trash food, the medical industry grows more. So I think this is an American problem. Because of the wastewater, because of the water situation, it shows that people probably are not prepared, because people started freaking out when they had no access to water and sewage. And it was just for just a little bit. But say that went on for days. Well, then again, you have no way to have water unless you've been prepping for it. You have no way to get rid of your waste unless you have a plan for it. You have no way to grow your own food or take care of yourself medicinally, because you've been taught that it's just, oh, it's okay. We're going to make sure that you can just do whatever you want to do. And you've had no way to really protect yourself. So therefore, you're always looking for someone to feed you and also take care of these easy buttons with technology. I think it's a bigger problem that America is not taking care of itself. And when we don't take care of ourselves, we start seeing failures of systems, and the fact that we're needing more medical care, we're needing more people to push our easy buttons, and we're needing more people to feed us. That doesn't look good on Americans. So am I upset that people are getting jobs? No, but I think that what we're seeing with these jobs and the facts of how Americans live is we have been too lazy. We're not raising our own food anymore. We're wanting people to feed us, which is making us more unhealthy, which is making for more of our pharmaceuticals and medical industry grow. And the fact that we're wanting easy buttons instead of mechanically doing something on our own, we need software engineers to do something for us. It just looks bad on us. And then it goes right down to our water. How easy is it to simply turn on a nozzle? How easy is it to make sure you have water? It's very complicated now, because we've developed a system of all this software that can easily be hacked, because we have not been watching over our own infrastructure. And while we're dabbling across the world, we may be very vulnerable for an attack here back in America. Remember, I told you long ago, I don't believe that these big countries are going to go after us by dropping bombs. I don't believe that that's actually how they're going to attack America. I believe they're going to make America implode on its own, because they're going to attack our infrastructure, attack little targets to make for American panic and chaos, because Americans have had it so good so long that now that little bit of chaos causes riots. That little bit of riots cause problems, and then therefore we're imploding as a nation. We're already polarized. Then all of a sudden you start taking our infrastructure. It's a big deal. Next story. What a coincidence. I tell you what, a wellness company shares this. Days after the International Bird Flu Summit, new cases of the bird flu going onto humans. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing we have this big conference on what would we do if the bird flu really starts spreading across humans in Washington, D.C. And wouldn't you know it, just a few days later, all that work and all that learning, we actually might have to use it now, because now it's spreading to humans even quicker and they're finding more cases now than they did just a few weeks ago. It says just days after the International Bird Flu Summit in Washington, we get reports of new cases happening in California. John Leake of the McCullough Foundation attended the conference and rightfully points out that the suspicious and auspicious timing of the new planned situation to where we're getting ready for something that has not even happened yet. The timing of the summit is a little weird because of the closeness and proximity of the election. The new bird flu cases were all of a sudden picked up by the media, so therefore it allows them to start putting this narrative in as they finish up the summit in Washington, D.C. 2 farm workers in California tested positive, and also the CDC stepped in and they want to help prevent and confirm. New bird flu cases certainly lends credence to the concerns of a new October surprise. That's something to think about. Bird flu has caused no widespread human illness. However, the way the spin is on it and the way that they have brought so many people to speak at this event means that it could get worse, coincidentally. Dr. Baker also said, guess what? There's several multiple biolabs in America, one in Wisconsin, that's trying to do this new variant push where they do a gain of something, you know, about learning the avian flu. Tell me, why would they be doing that? Blows my mind. So be prepared. This could be the October surprise that we've been looking for that's coming. What did I tell you when we first started? I think we're lighting fuses. And we're lighting fuses just to see which one actually goes off first. And then that allows them to use the Black Swan event for whatever their plans are. There was a gentleman the other day that was on social media and he made a good point. He said, what 2020 showed us is that authoritarian rule can be implemented within a single event. They just need one event. Now let's move on to another lighting of a fuse. There's an article from Zero Hedge that said Iran had a smaller earthquake. And you're thinking, oh, you know, there's earthquakes that happen all over America. There's, especially California, there's earthquake that happens all over the world. Here's the difference. Iran's earthquake sparked speculation that rumors of covert nuclear weapons have been tested. On Saturday, a 4.5 magnitude seismic event occurred in Iran's Semnan province, sparking speculations that Iran has tested nuclear weapons for the first time. Such a seismic event is typically resulted as an earthquake, but speculation has arose that they're actually testing, Tehran is actually testing to utilize a weapon towards Israel. Could this be the October surprise? So now I've mentioned to you a water problem, the fact that we're reliant on a system because of the conveniences we've had for so long. We've not built our people to be independent. I've also talked about the fact of now we have the bird flu summit that absolutely just happens for some reason in October before the election, to then turn around and have massive amounts of cases starting to rise up in humans, to now the fact of, remember, we have a situation in the Middle East that's not getting any better, bombing daily. But now there's an earthquake that happens in Iran, and the speculation is it's not just a typical earthquake. That's a lot. You know, when I see the sun, see the bales of hay, and see the beauty of the day, it makes me thankful to live. But also it helps me understand that without me feeding these animals, without me cutting my own hay, without getting stuff done around my farm, I'm going to be dependent on someone doing all that for me. Sure, would that be easy? Well, I wouldn't have to worry about doing all this stuff and working late. I was cutting firewood last night till like 8:30 outside in the dark with a flashlight. Who wants to do that? What are we doing though? We're trying to instill stewardship. We're trying to instill sustainability. We're trying to instill satisfaction to my children, the next generation. I can raise them eating McDonald's with software technology all in their hands and being lazy on a couch. And there's days that we allow them to enjoy a snack, not McDonald's, but enjoy a snack. There's times that we give them technical or technology time. There's times that we do allow them to rest. But what we don't want to do is make them believe that this system is always going to be there for them and that they're going to always be taken care of. Because what happens is when we see something like an October surprise or we see a Black Swan event, that everybody starts panicking and no one knows what to do. What we want to do is be prepared because we hear these stories, so therefore we want to learn from these stories and be the very best us we can be. So my challenge to you is, all these stories, not one of them may come true. All these stories, every one of them may come true. Another infrastructure attack on your water or sewage. What would you do? Do you have water put up? I mean, just with all these storms coming in, do you know that they've allocated bottled waters and gallons of waters to these places where the damage has been, and rightfully so, they should. But it has brought up crazy panic. Even in Mississippi, we had people at Costco and Walmart and Sam's buying all this stuff because they had nothing, and they were worried that their water would be next. Then to hear a cybersecurity attack on the water infrastructure. How serious is your planning and prepping? Not to scare you, but to be ready. What do we call prepping? Insurance. Why do we call it insurance? Because something we don't want to use, but if we have to use it, we've got it. If that barn burned down because the hay was wet when I put it in, it would be a loss. But I have insurance on the barn, so therefore I can replace the barn. That means hay might be a little tough this year, but I can make do. If I didn't have insurance on it and it burned down, I've lost hay and I've lost the barn, and I lost a lot of money. So I don't want it to burn down, but I have insurance on it just in case it does. Prepping is the same way. The reason we take care and learn these stories is because we want to be prepared. It's like I've told you before with this medicine. I mean, again, we're reliant on a medical system. We're seeing storms coming in. We're seeing problems across America. Do you have emergency preparedness medicine? I mean, why wouldn't you have that? I mean, check with people like Jace. You think a few $100s is a lot of money. Yeah, but the fact is, it may be the only way that you can live is by having some of this medicine. Water. Can you please buy some water? It's cheap. If not, learn to collect water. See on that barn, there's a pipe there. You know what that pipe is? I don't want to lose the water. I'm going to catch it. If it's going to my animals, or if it's going to us, or if it's going in containments, rainwater catchment's huge. Learn to figure out ways that you can be better and be proactive and not reliant on people to fix your food, people to give you more technology, and people to ultimately take care of you medically because you've put yourself in a bad way of being more lazy and reliant on this crappy food system. Learn from these stories to be better. Be the better version of you. Like a new day, wake up and be a new you. Ultimately, the only way you can truly prepare for all this is to find peace spiritually. Again, I cannot do it without God and without Christ in my life. And I challenge you to start researching and doing the same thing. You want to know how you make it through this without the crazy stress and worry? It's to spiritually prepare just like you would physically, mentally, and emotionally. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please go down here, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and give us a thumbs up. It does help us. Your comments and thumbs up, you don't realize how much it means to me because it helps spread my message across this platform. And it tells YouTube that this is important. Pay attention, be vigilant, and ultimately live for God. God bless. Be free.